On today's show, we'll discuss a Sixers trade that I believe must happen this offseason for this team to get better. We'll talk about how it may happen and what it'll mean for the future. Also, Doc Rivers dropping a little bombshell on us. We will break it all down. Let's go.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome into Philly Take with RB. You know what to do. Hit the like button if you do enjoy this type of content. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel and hit that notification bell. You don't miss any of the upcoming videos and live streams. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Philly Take with RB. We're growing on there. We'll be doing a giveaway soon, so you don't want to miss out on that opportunity. Also, just a little heads up. I'm a bit under the weather right now, so spare me a little bit. And I know a lot of people have been reaching out asking free agency stuff, draft stuff. We are going to get to that within the coming weeks. Obviously, the draft is on the 23rd, I believe. So, you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. And now the Sixers have a first-round pick. So it's all coming together quickly. But we will be covering that. So be sure, once again, to ring that bell and stay updated. But today we're back, and I just wanted to give my thoughts on where this team is at and honestly what I believe must be the next step going forward. Now, before we get into that, Doc Rivers was on the Dan Sileo show with Jacob Media the other day, and he had a prolonged interview. Obviously, we can't cover everything that he said. I thought he made some interesting points about different things. You know, of course, got arrogant at some points like Doc does and talked about the team. But the main thing that we need to hear was relating to the Sixers offseason. I thought Doc dropped a little bit of a bombshell, even if he didn't realize what he did. And let's take a listen to that.
I think we have a chance. This is a huge summer for us, Dan. But
you just got some good news that you're going to be able to go in the first round this year and draft because Brooklyn deferred it until next year. Said that's got to be some good news too going into the summer.
I don't know if that's good news or not yet. We'll find that out because it's not like we have a great pick, but right. It's another asset that we can maybe build. And so, you know, you'll always take a first round pick if you can get one. And the fact that we got that back is good. But this is an important summer. You know, I believe we'll bring James back and get that signed. At least I'm hoping we do. With Joel, with Tyrese, with Tobias, we got to build from there and add players, obviously, but the right players. Man, we have to get the right guys here so we can take the next step.
Obviously, Doc Rivers putting an emphasis there on the right types of players. When we think about where the Sixers team is at, obviously Joel Embiid will be back. Tyrese Maxey will be back. You know, even in this interview, Doc talked about Joel getting the surgery on both hands, and you know he's trying to heal up and get better. And obviously, one of the biggest points of this offseason is, will the Sixers bring back James Harden? What will he look like? Right now, he has an offseason to finally train, get healthy, and hopefully look better and look like a shell of himself. If not, that's not going to be good for this team going forward. But as Doc kind of just confirmed right there, that's one of my big takeaways from that little clip. He pretty much said, we are going to be bringing back James Harden. That kind of corroborates everything else that we have been discussing the last couple of weeks, right? Doc's coming back. James Harden's coming back. Of course, Morey's going to try to bring him back. He said it himself. And then when you look at this team, we know that we need to get better. Now, in the exit press conference, Daryl Morey had discussed how the Sixers need to keep hitting on minimum types of deals. I don't know if we really have to an effective extent, but I think the Sixers need to keep upgrading the team. And, you know, when I sit here and I'm watching the playoffs, I'm watching the finals, right, where we're breaking it all down, covering that, I'm just noticing the Sixers just do not have enough supplementary pieces. And I've been saying this for years, like we all have, right? We need a better bench. We need guys. But just the gap in talent and the gap in depth is just so much more apparent as we start to watch some of these other teams. Like, for example, the other night, Jason Tatum struggled mightily, played absolutely awful in game 1 of the NBA Finals, going 3 for 17, yet his team comes all the way back, puts up 40 in the fourth quarter, led by guys like Marcus Smart and Al Horford. And, you know, they just have dogs, and the Sixers need some of those guys. So getting back to where we're at, you know, and Doc Rivers, once again, at the end of that clip, another big point of emphasis, in addition to saying James Harden's pretty much going to come back, he says, you know, we need the right guys. And that kind of ties in to what we are talking about. And when you bring it back, the Sixers trade that I believe must happen, and I believe will happen. And I think as we get down to the end of the season here and the series ends for the finals and the draft's coming up, I think the rumors will start to heat up immensely. And I believe that trade is Tobias Harris. And, if you know me, I've been, covering this team all year. We've been watching this team and how they've progressed. And obviously, Doc talked about it in this interview as well. There's been a lot of turmoil this year. But Tobias Harris, I do believe, was uncomfortable at the beginning of the year. I remember saying when we get another guy in here, Tobias could go from that second man scorer role, and slide into the backseat role, the third, the fourth type of guy. And I thought Tobias played some of his best ball. And to be honest, in the first round playoff series, I thought he even escalated to another level. Now, he did struggle a little bit in the second round series, similar to everybody else. But of course, his value is probably a little bit higher right now. And there's people out there that say, nobody will take Tobias Harris. That's completely wrong. I'll tell you right now. Daryl Morey could move a guy that was unwilling to shoot a basketball. Teams make deals, right? Especially some of these lower caliber teams that can't get free agents and have trouble hitting in the draft. They're always open and willing to bringing other players in. So, of course, Tobias could be moved in the right deal. But in terms of a Sixers standpoint, I think this trade needs to happen to unlock what is going forward. Now, hear me out. Once again, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey will be back. Talked about some of the other guys. James Harden, okay, needs to play better. But here's the thing. If James Harden comes back this season and, the Sixers run it back and he's just not effective, he's not the same guy again anymore, well, what I believe the whole time and what I've been saying is that Harden is likely to take the player option, and I do believe that will happen. Even if not, I just don't see a way he gets a max contract. So, nonetheless, the Sixers will either be able to probably let him walk or try to move that deal if things are just not working out. I think that will be a much easier thing to maneuver with. However, Tobias Harris still has 2 years left on his deal. He's going to be making $37 million plus this upcoming season, and then $39 million in the final year. And when you look at James Harden making $47 million, Joel Embiid 30 plus, Maxey's going to get a max extension this coming year, this next year probably. The Sixers just need, something needs to give, something needs to bite in order for the Sixers to really upgrade these supplementary pieces. And right now, I just see this as the most likely avenue, right? Daryl Morey has cleaned up some of these other contracts the past couple years, and I like Tobias Harris. I enjoy his game at points, and I think that he's adapted, and I really think this year was a testament to him. But at the end of the day, we're paying $37 million for a guy that is going to give us 18 points a game. I've been calling him 18 to 20 point per game guy for the last 2 years. That's what he is. And the problem is that the Sixers need a more athletic, rebounding type of four to complement Joel Embiid and some of these other guys we got absolutely killed on the glass. And that's just not Tobias' specialty, and we need more speed. And I'm not saying Tobias can't be an efficient player. I'm not saying he can't be a third or fourth guy, but I just don't see it being here. And when you look going forward, next year, right, early in the season trade deadline, is Tobias going to be a piece that teams look at and say, he's the guy that we're going to pay, that we're going to trade assets for and pay, that'll put us over the top? Is that like a mid-season acquisition? I just don't view it that way. And I think it's more of a tradable contract in the offseason. And really what I believe needs to happen ultimately is the Sixers need to take that salary bill right there, and they need to replace it with two value-added players. What I mean by that is 3-and-D guys, maybe another scorer who can create off the dribble, an athletic rebounder, just something else, a different dynamic. This team is too slow. We need more depth, and we just haven't had it, all right? And we can't be fooled anymore. You look at the bench, they're not enough. They haven't been enough. I wouldn't even mind paying a guy 10 to 15 million off the bench if he could consistently produce. I think it's needed. I think we haven't had it for a long, long time now, maybe like a 6th, 7th man. We just need that. And I think Tobias is the most likely avenue for that. Now, like I said, there will be teams willing to take on his contract. But I do think it would have to be like a 2, maybe 3 team type of deal. I think you would need, hopefully, to get back like a shooter in that deal, and then maybe some draft compensation, maybe take on another contract, try to maneuver some things. I don't know if it would be a straight swap given the salary and where it's at. But at the end of the day, the Sixers need to make something happen. And like we've heard, James Harden is likely coming back, Maxey, Embiid. I think this is the most likely route that the Sixers can sit down and look at and take and say, okay, how will we upgrade the depth? that this is where you got to make cuts. And again, Tobias understands it, right? He's a business guy. He understands. Like, go back and look at his exit press conference, all right? The guy was literally emotional. He knows that it could come. He understands. He's had ups and downs here in Philly. It's nothing personal against him. I thought he rebounded well after, he had a little back and forth with the fans. But something has to give. Something has to give. Maybe you have to package the 23rd pick along with that to get it off. I don't know what's going to happen. But what I do believe is that within the coming weeks, once, things really get down to it and we get closer to the draft, I think Tobias Harris is going to be a name that pops up and goes around, and I would not be surprised at all if Daryl Morey moves it. And I think it's the key to how we go forward with this thing and, give us the best chance to acquire more talent or put more pieces into play. And with that being said, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I mean, this is the offseason. A lot happens, a lot gets riled up. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe we come back and we just try to add some minimum players, but I just don't see that putting us over the top. We see the formula. We see it with these other teams, and it's time for the Sixers to change their philosophy a little bit, and you got to try something else. Instead of these 4 big contracts that we've had for years, right? We keep trying that. We need to try something different. And I think this is what happened. So we will see what happens. Those are my thoughts. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Give me your thoughts down below. What do you think will happen in this situation? Do you think Tobias remains on the Sixers, or could he be trade bait? Give me all your thoughts down below. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and like always, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect.